Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I am here to bring you a battle between the 2020 Challenger decks and the Face the Hydra Challenge deck from Theros. We'll be playing two games, first on normal difficulty with 3 Hydra heads, and then we'll be playing on hard mode. And for these games we'll be using 2 hero cards. The first one is a Harvester. It says tap, draw a card, then discard a card. And then we also have the Warrior, which says tap, target creature you control gains haste until end of turn. We'll go ahead and get started by drawing 7 cards apiece. Cavalcade Charge draws a Runaway Steamkin, Bone Crusher Giant, Mountain, Fervent Champion, Light Up the Stage, and Scorch Bitter. I think this is an alright hand for them. Flash of Ferocity draws a Forest, Wildborn Preserver, Quench, Opt, and Nightpack Ambusher. I think that we can do better than this because we don't have any blue mana and we don't have a way to get to blue mana. And so we're going to mulligan this, and because this is multiplayer, we'll get 1 free mulligan. Now we have a Spectral Sailor, Nightpack Ambusher, Spectral Sailor, Nightpack Ambusher, Castle Vantress, Forest, and Quench. I don't love this hand because we don't have the right kinds of mana here, but I think we're going to keep this one and hope that we can start at least here. Final Adventure draws a Disfigure, Castle Locthwain, Lucky Clover, Lovestruck Beast, Fabled Passage, Temple of Malady, and Swamp. This is not a great starting hand, but it will work for our purposes. Allied Fires draws Saheeli, Sublime Artificer, Fires of Invention, Ugin the Ineffable, Island, Banishing Light, Narset, Parter Veils, and Narset Parter Veils. We cannot keep a one-lander, so we are going to use our free mulligan. Allied Fires now has an Island, Omen of the Sea, Fires of Invention, Temple of Epiphany, Deafening Clarion, and Mountain. I think this is an alright start, so we will keep it. Because this is multiplayer, we'll be drawing on the first turn. Cavalcade Charge draws an Embercleave. Flash of Ferocity draws a Brineborn Cutthroat. Final Adventure draws an Order of Midnight. Allied Fires draws a Fires of Invention. For the first turn, Cavalcade Charge will play a Mountain. We'll tap the Mountain, and then we will cast a Scorch Spitter. This is a 1/1 Elemental Lizard, and whenever it attacks, it deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. Flash of Ferocity will play the Castle Vantress. It's a land. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you control an island. You can tap it for blue and pay 2 blue tap and to scry 2. Final Adventure will play the Temple of Malady. This is a land. It enters the battlefield tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, scry 1. You can tap it for black and green. We'll scry. We will take the Disfigure and put it on the bottom. Allied Fires will play the Temple of Epiphany. It's a land. It enters the battlefield tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, scry 1. You can tap it for blue or red. We'll scry. We'll take Kasmina, Enigmatic Mentor, and stick it on the bottom because we're hunting for some white mana. We'll pass the turn to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card. It is a Noxious Hydra Breath. It's a sorcery. Choose 1 Noxious Hydra Breath, deals 5 damage to each player, or destroy each tapped non-head creature. Since there are no tapped non-head creatures, we'll go ahead and choose to destroy each tapped non-head creature. And then we'll take 3 damage from the assembled heads. Cavalcade Charge will go to 17. Flash of Ferocity will go to 17. Final Adventure goes to 17. Allied Fires goes to 17. At the end of the Hydra's turn, we'll use the Harvester. Cavalcade Charge draws a Castle Embereth, and we will discard the Mountain. Flash will draw a Forest, and we will discard a Spectral Sailor. Final Adventure will draw a Lucky Clover, and we will discard the Disfigure. Allied Fires draws an Island, and we will discard a Fires of Invention. We'll untap. Cavalcade Charge draws a Mountain. Flash draws an Island. Adventure draws an Edgewall Innkeeper. Fires draws a Time Wipe. Charge will play the Castle Embereth. It is a land. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a mountain. You can tap it for red, or pay 1 red and tap it for creatures you control to gain +1/+0 until end of turn. We'll spend 2 mana and cast the Runaway Steamkin. It's a 1/1 elemental. Whenever you cast a red spell, if it has fewer than 3 +1/+1 counter on it, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Remove 3 +1/+1 counters from it to add red. Flash will play a Forest. We'll tap both to play a Brineborn Cutthroat. This is a 2/1 Merfolk Pirate with Flash. And whenever you cast a spell during an opponent's turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Brineborn Cutthroat. Final Adventure will play a Swamp. We'll tap the Swamp in the Temple of Malady and cast a Lucky Clover. This is an artifact. Whenever you cast an adventure, instant, or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. Fires will play an island. We'll tap the warrior to give the Brineborn Cutthroat and the Runaway Steamkin haste, and we will attack the Hydra head with the Scorch Spitter and the Runaway Steamkin, and that will kill one Hydra head. It's an 0-3 head, and when it leaves the battlefield, each player gains 2 life. That'll take both players up to 19, but before we do that, we'll reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. There is a regular Hydra head and a Ravenous Brute head. This is 0-6 Elite head, and when it leaves the battlefield, each player gains 2 life and draws a card. Each player will go up to 19. Then we'll pass the turn to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is a Hydra head. Now all the Hydra heads will do their damage. That is a total of 6 damage to each player, taking them all down to 13 each. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Cavalcade draws a Rimrock Knight, and we will discard the Rimrock Knight. Flash draws a Nightpack Amateur, and we will discard the Spectral Sailor. Adventure draws a Jungle Hollow, and we will discard the Jungle Hollow. Fires draws a Plains, and we will discard an Island. We'll also tap these 2 and cast Omen of the Sea. It's an enchantment with Flash, and when it enters the battlefield, scry 2, then draw a card. You can pay 2 and blue to sacrifice it to scry 2. Take a look at these 2, and as much as lands are fine, we're going to stick them at the bottom. We'll draw a Sarkhan the Masterless. We'll untap. Charge draws a Tin Street Dodger. Flash draws a Quench. Adventure draws an Order of Midnight. Fires draws an Island. Charge plays a Mountain. We'll tap all 3 of these and cast the Bone Crusher Giant. This is a 4-3 giant, and it has an adventure, and whenever it becomes a target of a spell, it deals 2 damage to that spell's controller. Flash will play a Forest. Adventure will play a Cathal Lochthwain. This is a land. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a swamp. You can tap it for black. You can pay 1 black, tap to draw a card. Then you lose life equals to the number of cards in your hand. We will tap both of these, and then we'll play another Lucky Clover. And then we will tap the Temple of Malady for green, and we'll cast the Adventure part of Lovestruck Beast. Its Heart's Desire to sorcery. Create a 1/1 human creature token. Because of the Lucky Clovers, we'll get 3 1/1 human creature tokens. Fires will play a Plains. The Runaway Steamkin should have gotten a counter from the Bone Crusher Giant. We'll tap the Warrior to give the Giant haste as well as 1 of the humans. We'll go to combat, and we will attack a Hydra head with the Giant, a Hydra head with the Scorch Spitter, and the human will attack the Scorch Spitter's Hydra as well. This will kill 2 Hydra heads. We will gain 4 life apiece to go all up to 17, but we'll reveal 4 cards to see if there are any new heads. There's 1 more Ravenous Brute head. We'll all go to 17. And then we'll pass to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card. It is grown from the stump. Put exactly 2 cards named Hydra head onto the battlefield from the Hydra's graveyard. If you can't reveal cards from the top of the Hydra's library until you reveal a head card, put that card onto the battlefield and the rest into the Hydra's graveyard. Flash of Ferocity will respond by tapping 2 mana and casting Quench. It's an instant. It says counter target spell unless its controllers pay 2. This will put a counter on the Brineborn Cutthroat. Grown from the stump is countered, so we will each take 6 damage from the heads and go down to 11 apiece. Then we'll use the Harvester. Charge will draw a Light Up the Stage, and we will discard the Light Up the Stage. Flash will draw a Forest, and we will discard the Forest. Adventure will draw a Swamp, and we will discard the Swamp. Fires will tap 2 mana and cast another Omen of the Sea. We'll scry 2 and draw 1. We will put both of these on the bottom. And we'll draw a Narset Parter of the Veils, and then we'll also draw an Omen of the Sea. We will discard the Deafening Clarion. We'll untap. Charge draws a Mountain. Flash draws a Forest. Adventure draws a Swamp. Fires draws a Mountain. Charge will play the Mountain. We'll tap 1 mana to cast a Tin Street Dodger. This is a 1/1 Goblin Rogue with haste, and you can pay red for it can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with Defender. This will put a counter on the Steamkin. We'll pay another red mana and cast Fervent Champion. This is a 1/1 human knight with first strike and haste, and whenever it attacks, target attacking knight you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. And equip abilities you activate, that target Fervent Champion costs 3 less to activate. Flash will play an island. Adventure will play a Fabled Passage. It is a land. It says tap, sacrifice it. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. Then, if you control 4 or more lands, untap that land. We'll tap it and sacrifice it. We'll search for a forest. We'll put that onto the battlefield tapped. We control 4 or more lands, so we'll untap it. Then we'll shuffle. Then we'll tap the forest and cast the Edgewall Innkeeper. This is a 1/1 human peasant. Whenever you cast a creature spell that has an adventure, draw a card. And then we'll tap all 3 of these, and we will cast the Lovestruck Beast. This is a 5/5 Beast Noble, and it can't attack unless you control a 1/1 creature. We control 3 of them. And because we cast it from exile, the Edgewall Innkeeper will trigger. We'll draw a card. This is a Smitten Swordmaster. Allied Fires will play an island. We will tap out. And we will cast the Fires of Invention. It's an enchantment. You can cast spells only during your turn, and you can cast no more than 2 spells each turn. You may cast spells with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control without paying their mana cost. We will cast for free the Narset Parter of Veils. This is a 5 loyalty legendary Narset, and each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. For -2, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Go ahead and immediately -2 on Narset to take Narset down to 3. We'll look at the top 4 and reveal one of these. We will take Kasmina, Enigmatic Mentor, put that in our hand, and we will put these on the bottom. Go to combat. We will tap the warrior to give the Lovestruck Beast haste. Everything else already can attack, and then we will go and we will attack one of the Ravenous Brute Heads with the Bone Crusher Giant and the Scorch Spitter to finish it off. We'll attack another Ravenous Brute Head with the Runaway Steamkin. The Fervent Champion and the Tin Street Dodger will go after one of the Hydra Heads. The Brineborn Cutthroat will go after the Ravenous Brute Head that the Steamkin is going after. That leaves only 1 Hydra Head left, so the 3 humans will go after the last Hydra Head. This will defeat every single Hydra Head. This will net us 8 life apiece, take us up to 19, and draw 2 cards each. We'll reveal 8 cards to see if there are any new heads. There's a Shrieking Titan head. It's a 0/8 elite head. At the beginning of the Hydra's end step, each player discards a card. We also have a regular Hydra head. We'll each draw 2 cards apiece and go up to 19. Cavalcade Charge draws a mountain and a Castle Embereth. Off the damage, we'll cast Light Up the Stage. This is sorcery. It has Spectacle for red and exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. We have exiled a mountain and a Chandra, Alkali of Flame. Flash will draw an Opt and an island. Adventure will draw a swamp and a Find Finality. Fires will draw a island and a Fae of Wishes. We will discard the Time Wipe to hand size. We'll go to the Hydra's turn. The Hydra will cast the topmost card. This is a Unified Lunge. It deals X damage to each player, where X is the number of heads on the battlefield. This seems fine. We'll be taking 5 damage each to take us all down to 14, and we will each be forced to discard a card. Charge will discard a mountain. Flash will discard a forest. Adventure will discard a swamp. Fires will discard a island. As we go to the end step, Flash will tap out and will cast a Nightpack Ambusher. This is a 4/4 wolf with Flash. Other wolves and werewolves you control get +1/+1. At the beginning of your end step, if you didn't cast a spell this turn, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. Then we'll use the Harvester. Charge draws a Cavalcade of Calamity, and we will discard the Castle Embereth. Flash draws a Wildborn Preserver, and we will discard the Opt. Adventures will draw a Forest, and we will discard the Forest. Fires will draw a Steam Vents, and we will discard a Mountain. We'll untap. The Brineborn Cutthroat should have gotten a counter from the Nightpack Ambusher. Charge draws a Cavalcade of Calamity. Flash draws a Brazen Borrower. Adventure draws a Forest. Fires draws a Deafening Clarion. Charge will play a Mountain, and we will spend 3 mana to cast Chandra, Acolyte of Flame. This is a legendary Chandra with 4 loyalty, and for 0 you put a loyalty counter on each red planeswalker you control. For 0, create 2 1/1 red elemental creature tokens. They gain haste, sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. For -2, you may cast target instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard. If that card will be put into a graveyard this turn, exile it instead. Then we'll spend 2 more mana and we'll cast Cavalcade of Calamity. This is an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control with power 1 or less attacks, it deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker that creature is attacking. We will use the loyalty ability of Acolyte to get 1 more counter. Flash will play an island. Adventure will play a swamp. Then Adventure will spend 2 mana to cast an Order of Midnight. This is a 2/2 human knight with flying and it can't block. This will trigger the Edgewall Innkeeper because it has an adventure. We'll draw a card. We drew a Jungle Hollow. Then we'll spend 2 more mana to cast another Order of Midnight. Same deal. We'll draw a card. It is a Black Lance Paragon. And then we will spend 1 more mana to use the Curry Favor adventure from Smitten Swordmaster. This is a sorcery. You gain X life and each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of knights you control. We control 2 knights, and so we will gain 2 life to go back up to 16. And the Hydra will lose 2 life, and we will redirect that into the Elite Head. Fires will play a Steam Vent. It's a land and island mountain, and as it enters the battlefield, you may pay 2 life. If you don't, it enters the battlefield tapped. Go ahead and let it enter the battlefield tapped because of Fire's Invention. We will cast our first spell, and that is Sarkhan the Masterless. It is a legendary Sarkhan planeswalker with 5 loyalty. Whenever a creature attacks you or a player you control, each dragon you control deals 1 damage to that creature. And for +1 until end of turn, each planeswalker you control becomes a 4/4 red dragon creature and gains flying. For -3, create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. We will immediately +1 to get Sarkhan up to 6, making Narset and Sarkhan both dragons. We'll tap the warrior to give Sarkhan haste, and we'll also give one of the Orders of Midnight haste. We'll go to combat, and we will attack the Shrieking Titan Head with the Bone Crusher Giant and the Scorch Spitter to finish it off. We'll attack the Hydra Head with Sarkhan the Masterless to finish it off. That will kill both of the heads, getting us a total of 6 life apiece and drawing us each a card. But first we'll reveal 4 cards to see if there are any new heads. There's 1 new Hydra head. Fires will go up to 20, and we'll draw a Swiftwater Cliffs. For our second spell of the turn, we'll also cast Kasmina Enigmatic Mentor. This is a 5 loyalty legendary Kasmina, and spells your opponents cast that target a creature or planeswalker you control cost 2 more to cast. And for -2, create a 2/2 blue wizard creature token, draw a card, then discard a card. Go ahead and -2 Kasmina immediately to create the wizard creature token. We will draw a Narset Part of Veils, and we will discard the Deafening Clarion. Charge goes up to 20, and we will draw a Scorch Spitter. Flash goes up to 20, and we draw a Sinister Sabotage. Adventure will go up to 22, and we draw a Midnight Reaper. We'll -2 Narset to look at the top 4 cards, and we will take Ugin and put Ugin the Ineffable into our hands. At the end of the turn, the Nightpack Ambusher's ability will trigger and we'll get a Wolf. We'll go to the Hydra's turn. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is a Ravenous Brute Head. We will take a total of 3 damage apiece, taking everybody but Final Adventure down to 17, while Final Adventure will go to 19. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Charge will draw a Rimrock Knight, and we will discard the Rimrock Knight. Flash will draw an island and discard the island. We'll also spend 4 mana and cast another Nightpack Ambusher. That will give the Brineborn Cutthroat another counter. Adventure will draw a forest, and we will discard the Jungle Hollow. Fires will draw a Windscarred Crag, and we will discard the Windscarred Crag. We will also spend 3 mana to use one of the Omens of the Sea's abilities. We'll sacrifice it, and then we will scry 2. We will leave the Banishing Light on top, and we'll put the island at the bottom. We'll untap. Charge draws a mountain. Flash draws an island. Adventure draws a Midnight Reaper. Fires draws a Vanishing Light. Charge will play a mountain. We'll spend 2 mana to cast another Cavalcade of Calamity. We'll spend 1 more mana to cast another Scorch Spitter. Flash will play another island. Adventure will play a forest. We'll tap out to cast 2 Midnight Reapers. These are 3/2 zombie knights, and whenever a non-token creature you control dies, it deals 1 damage to you and you draw a card. Fires will cast Ugin the Ineffable. It is a 4 loyalty legendary Ugin. Colorless spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. For +1, exile the top card of your library face down and look at it. Create a 2/2 colorless spirit creature token. When that token leaves the battlefield, put the exiled card into your hand. And then for -3, destroy target permanent that's 1 or more colors. We'll immediately +1 Ugin to take him to 5. And then we will exile the Omen of the Sea. It will become a spirit. We will tap the warrior to give Ugin the Ineffable haste. And then we'll +1 Sarkhan to turn all these planeswalkers into creatures. And we'll attack with Narset and Kasmina and Sarkhan to finish off these heads. They both die. We'll each gain 4 life and draw a card. But first we'll reveal 4 cards to see if there are any new heads. There's 1 new head. Everybody will go up to 21 except for Adventure, which will go up to 23, and we'll each draw a card. Fires draws a Vanishing Light. Charge draws a Light Up the Stage. Flash draws a Quench. Adventure draws a Fine Finality. We needed to play a mountain to cast Ugin, so we will do so. And then for our second spell, we will cast Omen of the Sea. We will scry these both to the bottom. We'll draw Kasmina, Enigmatic Mentor. We'll go to the Hydra's turn. They'll cast the topmost card, which is Grown from the Stump. Go ahead and let that go through. We'll each take 3 damage, taking everybody to 18 except for Adventure, which will go to 20. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Charge draws a Rimrock Knight and discards the Rimrock Knight. Ferocity will draw a island and discard the island. We will spend 4 mana and we will cast the Night Pack Ambusher. This will enter the battlefield and we will get another counter on the Cutthroat. I guess we should have created 2 wolves last turn. Adventure draws a Lovestruck Beast and will discard a forest. Fires draws an Interplanar Beacon and we will discard the Interplanar Beacon. We'll untap. Charge draws a mountain. Flash draws a Frilled Mystic. I guess we should have gotten another counter for the second Ambusher. Adventure draws a Castle Lochthwain. Fires draws a Time Wipe. Charge will spend 3 mana and we will cast the Light Up the Stage. We'll exile the top 2 cards, which are these 2. We'll play a mountain and we'll tap out and we'll cast Torban, Thane of Redfell, the legendary dwarf noble. If a red source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals damage +2 instead. Final Adventure will spend 1 mana to cast Heart's Desire on Lovestruck Beast. This will increase the number of humans we have to 6. Then we will cast the Smitten Swordmaster from exile. This enters the battlefield and we'll draw a card. We got a Foulmire Knight. We will play the Castle Lochthwain. We will uptick Ugin. We'll take a look at this. We'll exile the Fae of Wishes as a spirit. Then we'll uptick Sarkhan. We will attack the heads with Kasmina, Narset, and Sarkhan. This will kill all 3 heads and get us 6 life apiece, taking us all up to 24 except for Adventure, who will go up to 26. But first we'll reveal 6 cards to see if there are any new heads. There's 1 new Hydra head. Fires will cast a Banishing Light as its first ability, and this will exile the head. This will get us all another 2 life to take us up to 26 or 28. And then we will cast the other Banishing Light as the second spell for the turn. This will exile the Ravenous Brutehead. And we should be at 28 and 30 life apiece, but there are no more heads, and so the 2020 Challenger decks defeat the Hydra. We'll be right back for hard mode. We are back for hard mode. There are 4 Hydra heads assembled here, and we'll get drawing our opening hands. Charge draws a Scorch Spitter, Fervent Champion, Mountain, Bone Crusher Giant, Mountain, Castle Embereth, and Scorch Spitter. I think this is an acceptable first hand. Flash draws an Island, Thassa's Intervention, Nightpack Amateur, Unsummon, Island, Castle of Vantress, and Opt. I don't love that there is a green card here and we don't have any green in the hands, but we have some things that we can do, and so we will keep this hand. Adventure draws a Castle of Lockpoint, Smitten Swordmaster, Love-Struck Beast, Smitten Swordmaster, Temple of Malady, Black Lance Paragon, and Lucky Clover. This is short on lands, but I think that we can keep it, because as long as we draw one more land, it's a pretty good value. Fires draws a Swiftwater Cliffs, Omen of the Sea, Island, Deafening Clarion, Fate of Wishes, Fires of Invention, and Narset, Parter of Veils. This is a little slow on lands. We don't have any white mana, but I think the Omen of the Sea makes this a keepable one as well. Cavalcade Charge draws a Mountain. Flash draws a Forest. Adventure draws an Order of Midnight. Fires draws an Omen of the Sea. Charge will play a Mountain, and we will tap that Mountain to cast a Scorch Spitter. Flash plays an Island. Final Adventure will play Temple of Malady. We'll scry. We will take the Temple of Malady, and I think we actually keep it on top because we need lands. Fires will play the Swiftwater Cliffs. It's a land. It enters the battlefield tap. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life, and you can tap it to add blue or red. We'll gain 1 life to go up to 21. There's no need to attack because we can't kill any heads, and so we'll pass to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is Torn Between Heads. Tap up to 2 heads. They don't untap during the Hydra's next untap step. Torn Between Heads deals 5 damage to each player. We'll tap 2 heads, and they will not untap during the Hydra's next untap step. We'll take 5 plus 2 for 7 damage to each player, taking each player to 13. But Fires will go to 14. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Charge draws a Tin Street Dodger, and we will discard a Mountain. Flash draws a Forest, and we will discard the Thassa's Intervention, just because it's really expensive. And then we will also tap the Island, and we'll cast Opt. This is an instant. It says scry 1, draw a card. We'll scry. We will take the Thassa's Intervention, and we'll stick that on the bottom. We'll draw. We draw a Wildborn Preserver. Final Adventure will draw a Temple of Malady, and then we will discard the Black Lance Paragon. Fires will draw an Interplanar Beacon, and we will discard the Deafening Clarion. We'll untap. Charge draws a Light Up the Stage. Flash draws a Quench. Adventure draws a Valmar Knight. Fires draws a Tranquil Cove. Charge will play a Castle Embereth. We will tap both of these, and we will play a Tin Street Dodger and the Fervent Champion. Flash will play a Forest. Adventure will play another Temple of Malady. We will scry, take Fiend Finality and put it on the bottom, searching for some untapped lands if possible. Fires will play an Island. We'll go to combat, and we will attack the Hydra Head with the Scorch Spitter and the Tin Street Dodger. That will kill one of the Hydra Heads. We will reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. There are none. And then we will each gain 2 life, taking us up to 15 or 16. And then we'll pass to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card. This is Distract the Hydra. Each player may sacrifice a creature. Each player who sacrificed a creature this way chooses a head and taps it. Each player who didn't sacrifice a creature loses 3 life. I think we're in an okay place to lose the life. So we'll each lose 3 life and take 1 more damage from the remaining Hydra Head to take us down to 11 or 12 each. Then at the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Charge draws a Runaway Steamkin, and we will discard the Scorch Spitter. Flash will draw a Spectral Sailor, and we will discard an Island. We'll also spend 2 mana to cast the Wildborn Preserver. It's a 2/2 Elf Archer with Flash, and whenever another non-human creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay X. When you do, put X +1/+1 counters on Wildborn Preserver. Adventure draws an Order of Midnight, and we will discard a Smitten Swordmaster. Fires will draw a Temple of Triumph and we'll discard the Interplanar Beacon. We'll also tap 2 mana and cast Omen of the Sea. We'll scry 2. And we will keep Sarkin and we will put the island on top actually. This seems a decent draw. So we'll put these two on top, the Sarkin on top, and then draw Sarkin. We'll untap. Charge draws a Tin Street Dodger. Flash draws a Temple of Mystery. Adventure draws a Jungle Hollow. Fires draws an island. Charge will play the Mountain. We'll tap 2 mana and cast a Runaway Steamkin. We'll tap 1 more mana and cast a Tin Street Dodger. This will put a counter on the Runaway Steamkin. Flash will play the Castle Vantris. It is a land. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you control an island. You can tap it for blue or pay 2 blue tap to scry 2. Adventure will play a Jungle Hollow. It is a land. It enters the battlefield tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. You can tap to add black or green. This will take us up to 12. And then we will tap 2 mana and cast the Lucky Clover. Fires will play a Tranquil Cove tapped. It's a land. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. You can tap to add white or blue. We'll gain 1 life to go up to 13. We'll tap the Warrior to give the Runaway Steamkin haste. We will attack one of the Hydra heads with the Tin Street Dodger and the Scorched Spitter. We'll attack another Hydra head with the Runaway Steamkin and the other Tin Street Dodger. We'll attack the last Hydra head with the Fervent Champion and the Wildborn Preserver. This will kill all 3 Hydra heads. We'll reveal 6 cards to see if there are any new heads. There is a new Hydra head and a Ravenous Brute head. We will each gain 6 life apiece. Charge will go up to 17. Flash will go up to 17. Adventure will go up to 18. Fires will go up to 19. We'll go to the Hydra's turn. The Hydra will cast the topmost card. It is a Ravenous Brute head. We'll let that hit the battlefield. And then the Hydra will do 5 damage to each of us. Charge will go down to 12. Ferocity will go down to 12. Adventure will go down to 13. Fires will go down to 14. We'll use the Harvester. Charge will draw a Torbrand, and we will discard the Bone Crusher. Flash will draw a Brineborn Cutthroat, and we will discard the Temple of Mystery. We will then spend 2 mana to flash in the Brineborn Cutthroat. We will tap the blue to cast Spectral Sailor. That will enter the battlefield and put a counter on the Brineborn Cutthroat. This is a 1/1 Spirit Pirate with Flash and Flying and 3 blue draw card. Final Adventure will draw a Lucky Clover and we will discard the Smitten Swordmaster. Fires will draw a Fires of Invention and we will discard the extra Fires of Invention. We will also spend 2 more mana to cast another Omen of the Sea. We'll scry these 2 and we will keep Kazmina and we'll put the Windscarred Crag on the bottom. And we'll draw Kazmina. We'll untap. Charge draws a Tin Street Dodger. Flash draws a Sinister Sabotage. Adventure draws a Jungle Hollow. Fires draws a Narset Parter Veils. Charge will tap Mountain and will cast a Tin Street Dodger. This will put a counter on the Runaway Steamkin. Flash will play a Forest. Final Adventure will play another Jungle Hollow. Go into the battlefield tap, we'll gain 1 life. Then we'll spend 2 mana to play another Lucky Clover. And then we'll tap the Temple of Malady for green and we'll cast the Heart's Desire portion of Lovestruck Beast. It will be sent on an adventure and we'll get double triggers from Lucky Clover to get 3 1/1 humans. Fires will play an island and then we will tap out to cast Fires of Invention. We'll go to the battlefield and then we can cast 1 more spell this turn. Up to 4 mana we'll cast Kazmina Enigmatic Mentor. And then we will immediately -2 Kazmina to 3 to create a wizard. We will draw a island and we will discard the island. We'll tap the warrior to give a human and the wizard haste. We'll go to combat. We'll attack a Ravenous Brute head with the Runaway Steamkin. We'll throw 3 Tin Street Dodgers at one of the Hydra heads. The Fervent Champion and the Scorched Spitter will go at the other Ravenous Brute head to do 3 damage to it. The Runaway Steamkin should have got an extra counter to be a 4/4. We'll join the Wildborn Preserver with that. We'll send in a human to support the other Ravenous Brute head attack. We'll send in the wizard to also finish off the Ravenous Brute head. This will kill all 3 Hydra heads. We'll gain 6 life and draw 2 cards. But before we do so, we'll reveal 6 cards to see if there are any new heads. There are 4 new heads: Hydra head, Ravenous Brute head, Hydra head, and Savage Figurehead. This is a 0/8 elite head. At the beginning of the Hydra's end step, reveal the top card of the Hydra's library. The Hydra casts that card. When it leaves the battlefield, each player gains 4 life and draws a card. Fires will go to 20 life, and we will draw a Sarkhan the Masterless and a Mountain. Charge will go to 18 life, and we'll draw a Chandra Acolyte of Flame and a Scorch Spitter. Flash will go to 18 life, and we'll draw a Island and a Island. Adventure will go to 20 life. We'll draw a Lucky Clover and a Knight of the Ebon Legion. Charge will remove 3 counters from Runaway Steamkin for 3 mana, and then we will use 1 of those manas to cast Light Up the Stage using the Spectacle. We will exile these 2. We exile a Mountain and a Bone Crusher Giant. We'll play the Mountain. We'll get a counter for casting the Light Up the Stage. Then we will spend 3 more mana to cast the Bone Crusher Giant. Then we'll get another counter on the Runaway Steamkin. Then we'll pass to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is Disorienting Glower. Players can't cast spells until the Hydra's next turn. While this is on the stack, Flash of Ferocity will tap 2 mana and cast Quench, countering the Disorienting Glower. The Glower is countered and does not take effect. This will add a counter to the Brineborn Cutthroat. We'll also tap the Castle of Vantris and then cast Unsummon, targeting the Savage Figurehead. This puts another counter on the Brineborn Cutthroat. In the pre-combat main phase, the Savage Figurehead is removed from the game. We'll reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. There are no new heads. Each player will gain 4 life and draw a card, but we'll also lose 4 life, so we'll just stay at the life that we're at, but we'll each draw a card. Charge draws a Light Up the Stage. Flash draws a Brazen Borrower. Adventure draws a Foul Marinite. Fires draws a Fires of Invention. We'll use a Harvester. Charge draws a Mountain, and we will discard the Mountain. Flash draws a Thornwood Falls, and we'll discard the Thornwood Falls. Adventure draws a Forest, and we will discard the Foul Marinite. Fires draws Kenrith, and we will discard Fires of Invention. We'll untap. Charge draws a Rimrock Knight. Flash draws a Brineborn Cutthroat. Adventure draws a Knight of the Ebon Legion. Fires draws Ugin the Ineffable. Charge will spend 4 mana and cast Torran Thane of Redfell. This will add a counter to Runaway Steamkin. Flash will play an Island. Adventure will play a Forest. We'll tap the Forest and the Jungle Hollow, and we'll cast yet another Lucky Clover. We'll spend 2 more mana and cast 2 Knights of the Ebon Legion. These are 1/2 Vampire Knights for 2 black. They gain +3/+3 and Death Touch until end of turn. At the beginning of your end step, if a player lost 4 or more life this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Knight of the Ebon Legion. Sarkhan will cast Sarkhan the Masterless. It starts with 5 counters. We'll also cast Kenrith the Returned King. This is a 5/5 legendary human noble. And for red, all creatures gain trample and haste until end of turn. For 1 in green, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. For 2 in white, target player gains 5 life. For 3 in blue, target player draws a card. For 4 in black, put a target creature from the graveyard onto the battlefield under its owner's control. This will happen after we play a Temple of Triumph. It is a land, enters the battlefield tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, scry 1, you can tap to add red or white. Scry, we will take the Tranquil Cove and we'll stick it on the bottom. We will go ahead and plus the Sarkhan to make Hasmina and Sarkhan into 4/4 dragons. Tap the Warrior to give Sarkhan haste. Go to combat. We'll attack with Hasmina into one of the heads, Sarkhan into the Ravenous Brute head. We'll attack with 1 10th Street Dodger into a head and the other one into the Ravenous Brute head. This will finish off all 3 heads, giving us 6 life and drawing us a card each. There's a Snapping Fang head joining the battlefield. Cavalcade Charge will go up to 24. And we draw a Runaway Steamkin. Flash will go to 24. We draw a Wavebreak Hippocamp. Adventure will go up to 26. We draw a Jungle Hollow. Fires will go up to 26. We draw a Saheeli Sublime Artificer. We will go to the Hydra's turn. They'll cast the topmost card. This is Unified Lunge, deals X damage to each player, where X is the number of heads on the battlefield. That's just 1 extra damage. The Snapping Head will do 3 damage by itself, and so that'll be a total of 4 damage. Taking Charge and Flash to 20, and Adventure and Fires will go to 22. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Charge draws a Mountain. We will discard the Rimrock Knight. Flash draws a Quench. We will discard the Sinister Sabotage. We will also spend 2 mana and cast the Brineborn Cutthroat. This will give a counter to the Brineborn Cutthroat. And then we'll spend 2 more mana to use the Brazen Borrow's Petty Theft Adventure. It's an instant, returns target non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. We will target the Snapping Fanghead. This puts a counter on each Brineborn Cutthroat. The Snapping Fanghead is balanced, and each player will gain 4 life and draw a card. There are no new heads, so it doesn't matter because the Challenger decks soundly defeat the Hydra on difficult mode. I think each deck had its strengths and its minuses against the Challenge deck, but it was a pretty clear, resounding victory. Let me know what your thoughts were about the games in the comments below. If I made any rules or play errors, also let me know so that I can learn from your wisdom. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my videos, you can hit subscribe. This is Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.